यमुना तीरावनचारी यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा मदन मोहन, राधा मदन मोहन राधे। जय गौरानिताय, 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivrajakacharya Ashtottara Sata His Divine Grace Abhay Charanar Avinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Ki Jai Srila Rupa Goswami Pad Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padang Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravane Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam. Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Aradhyo Bhagavan Vrajeshatanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam. Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita. Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Matamidam Tatradara Naparaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So yesterday we were discussing the 11th quality of Krishna, of his being highly learned, Supandityaha, and we saw that there are two elements to being highly learned. One is to be a Vidwan, which means to be learned in all or various departments of knowledge. And the second is Nitigyaha. Niti means morality, Gyaha means one who knows. So to be conversant with and practicing the various codes of proper conduct. So we talked about Vidwan yesterday, and just the paragraph on Nitigyaha is left. So can you please read that? The last paragraph in the section under highly learned, 11th quality of Krishna.
Regarding his moral principles, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam that Krishna is ruling over Vrindavan as death personified to the thieves, as pleasing bliss to the pious, as the most beautiful Cupid to the young girls, and as the most munificent personality to the poor men. He is as refreshing as the full moon to his friends, and to his opponents he is the annihilating fire generated from Lord Shiva. Krishna is therefore the most perfect moralist in his reciprocal dealings with different kinds of persons. When he is death personified to the thieves, it is not that he is without moral principles or that he is cruel. He is still kind, because to punish thieves with death is to exhibit the highest quality of moral principles. In the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says that he deals with different kinds of persons according to their dealings with him. Krishna's dealings with devotees and with non-devotees, although different, are equally good, because Krishna is all good. His dealings with everyone are always good.
Very important point. The last sentence, because Krishna is all good, his dealings with everyone are all good. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentions in his commentary that Krishna takes responsibility for the welfare of all. He protects the whole world by his proper conduct. Now, what is proper conduct for Krishna? His proper conduct is to be the eternal well-wisher and protector of all living entities. And he does that in ways that we may not be able to appreciate or understand, because we live in a world of duality, and for us good and bad, although a very hazy concept, but you still have very strong opinions of what is good and what is bad. But for Krishna, because he is absolute, because he is all good, so everything he does is good, always. So in whichever way he deals with anybody, be they devotees or non-devotees, it is all good. So Krishna deals with his devotees in a certain way. He deals with non-devotees in perhaps a different way. But both those ways, even though different, are actually the same from Krishna's point of view, because he is acting for their well-being, for their welfare. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. He acts towards somebody, or he reciprocates according to the mood that the living entity has towards him. So the superficial difference in the dealings appears only because the mentalities and the approaches of the different living entities are different. The devotees have one kind of mentality and the non-devotees have another kind of mentality. So therefore, superficially, from Krishna's point of view, or rather from our point of view, it may appear that his dealings are different with them. And therefore, he's siding with one and he's against the other group. He's favoring the demigods but against the asuras. So this kind of question comes up. In fact, in the 6th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Parikshit Maharaj raises this question, that allegations about Krishna's partiality can be made because he always seems to be favoring the demigods and acting against the asuras. The asuras are also part and parcel of Krishna. So therefore they are entitled to the same kind of care and protection from Krishna as are the devotees. But the point is that Krishna's protection of the asuras is, from our point of view, slightly different from the protection offered to the devotees. Krishna protects all, the devotees and the non-devotees. But sometimes Krishna may have to rectify the non-devotees' errant mentality. He may have to punish them. He may have to subdue them. And in some cases, he may have to kill them. But because he's absolute and he's all good, that conduct of Krishna is not to be faulted. You cannot say Krishna is immoral because he killed. You may say that for an ordinary human being, because a human being acts on the platform of duality. Acts on the platform of self-interest and bodily conception of life. But Krishna's vision, his platform is absolute. So therefore his conduct is perfect and complete. Morality is an issue for conditioned living entities like us, not for Krishna. For Krishna, whatever he does is moral. If he asks Yudhishthir Maharaj to lie, it is moral. If he asks someone to speak the truth, that is moral. Actually, this whole question of morality is also very complex, because when to speak the truth, when to not speak the truth, can you ask somebody to speak a lie? Will it be false to do that? Will it be wrong to do that? So there are many considerations. There is relative truth, there is absolute truth. You know the story of the sage Kaushik, where he was sitting in his ashram and meditating, and some man came running. He was running away from some dacoits who were chasing him with sharp weapons. So he was running away to save his life. And he came into the ashram of Sage Kaushik. And Sage Kaushik saw him. He didn't realize what was going on. And this man came, and he was obviously in great fear and was running away. And he ran away in a certain direction. And then the dacoits came chasing him, and they looked here and there. They saw the sage sitting there, and they asked him, "Have you seen a man running like this?" Now it so happened that the sage Kaushik had taken a vow to always speak the truth and never say a lie. So that was his vow. So Kaushik Rishi said, "Yes, I have seen him." He went there. So eventually those people caught up with that man and killed him. And then Kaushik Rishi went to hell. Now this story was narrated by none other than Krishna himself to Arjuna. Because we don't have time to go into that whole pastime of the background of how this happened. But Arjuna was in a similar dilemma. And Krishna was trying to explain to him the intricacies of morality, what to speak of from Krishna's point of view, even from the relative point of view, there are so many issues. It's not always so clear what is correct, what is not, what is moral, what is not. Speaking the truth is moral. Speaking a lie is immoral. That's very clear. But could there be situations when speaking a lie is the right thing to do? So Krishna said, Krishna's point of view was that Kaushik should have said a lie. He should have said, no, I haven't seen him. Because saving an innocent person's life is more important than speaking the truth. So there are gradations of morality and ordinary dharma in this world. And we always adopt the higher dharma. If at some point a conflict arises between two moral principles, we will accept the higher dharma, the higher principle. Although this cannot be done whimsically, it's a word of caution. So the important point is, by the way, there was some conversation which I read many years ago between two intellectuals in the late 19th century in Bengal, which was considered the intellectual capital of India in those days. One was Rabindranath Tagore, the famous poet, and the other was another scholar called Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Both were well-known scholars in their own fields. So somehow they were discussing this particular this episode that happened. And Rabindranath Tagore's point was that Krishna was wrong. Kaushik Rishi was correct in speaking the truth. He should not have spoken a lie. He spoke the truth, it is all right. But Bankim Chandra said, well, I think Krishna is right because he saved a man's life. So which is more important? Saving a person's life or speaking the truth? He said, saving a person's life. But then you are saying that Kaushik did the right thing. So Rabindranath Tagore said that I would have said that if I were Kaushik, I know where he went, but I won't tell you. But then the dacoits would have killed him. So anyway, these are the complexities. So we also get embroiled in these dualities. It's difficult to understand for us what is what sometimes. Yes? But for Krishna, there is no question. Whatever he says, whatever he does is perfect morality, perfect conduct. So that is the point, that is the whole implication of being the absolute personality of Godhead. We are not absolute. We are on the relative platform, we are in the bodily concept of life. So we cannot take recourse to that argument. So in any case, so Krishna's conduct is that he takes responsibility for the well-being and protection of all. The distinctions in Krishna's dealings with the others are based on the others' mentalities. It is not a fault to be seen in Krishna. Okay? So with that, we conclude the 11th quality, which is Supanditya, which has two characteristics, Vidwan and Nitigya. So now we will speak about the 12th quality, which is that Krishna is highly intelligent, Buddhiman. The word man indicates full of. Can you give some other words that end in man? Huh? Shaktiman. One who is full of Shakti. Yes, anything else? Bhagyavan, who is extremely fortunate. So the word man indicates full of or extremely. So Buddhiman means he's full of buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. One who is extremely intelligent is called Buddhiman. So Rupa Goswami says, Medhavi Sukshmadhish cheti prochyate buddhiman dvidha. Dvidha means two types. Prochyate cha iti prochyate buddhiman. So that means that the word buddhiman has two varieties, and those two varieties are medhavi and sukshmadhihi. Medhavi, buddhiman means the capacity to absorb knowledge and possessing fine intelligence. So medhavi actually indicates having a sharp memory, and sukshmadhi indicates having a fine sense of discernment or discrimination. Some slight misprint here. So fine discretion or fine discrimination, vivek. Vivek means the ability to discriminate. So this is the definition of intelligence. Actually, all these different qualities of Krishna, we refer to these qualities amongst human society also. So even for us understanding human personality and psychology, it is useful to know the definition of these qualities. For the time being, just leave aside Krishna. But these qualities in and of themselves, because they are found in human society, it's important for us to know what they really mean. Very frequently we refer to someone as buddhiman, or as this or that, as vidwan, yes, as pandita, so on. So what does it really mean to be learned, to be educated, to be intelligent, and so on? So these are very general definitions of these terms, of these qualities, and then Rupa Goswami will cite references from the scriptures to explain how Krishna has these qualities in unlimited quantity. So, sharp memory is one of the qualities of intelligence. The Srimad Bhagavatam also has a very, in the Sankhya Yoga, in the Sankhya philosophy of the theistic philosophy of Sankhya, of Kapil Dev, we find a lot of description about the mind, the ego, the intelligence. The qualities of intelligence are also mentioned there. We won't go into the details of that from the Srimad Bhagavatam. But memory is one of the qualities of intelligence. And another quality of intelligence is to doubt. You don't accept anything just at face value. You will question everything. And sometimes that becomes a problem, even amongst devotees. Somebody is very intelligent, unless that person has very strong sanskars, spiritual sanskars, that person or even that devotee is likely to doubt so many things. You just can't. You will start analyzing everything and you will start doubting everything. So, intelligence without the bhakti sanskars, or even without sattvic sanskar, what to speak of bhakti, they will lead to atheism. They will lead to impersonalism. That is why we see that those who are very, very intelligent in academics, and they are professors and so many things, the whole academia, the whole intellectual world, big philosophers, scientists, etc., they all start veering towards atheism in some way, shape or form. Because that is the nature of being very intelligent. They have material intelligence, not spiritual intelligence. So with their material intelligence, they'll try to analyze everything, and they will try to doubt everything, and they go on analyzing, and they come to some conclusions. The analysis never ends, so they become munis. Munis are ones who they want to keep on generating original ideas and perspectives on everything. They don't want to accept what somebody else has done. They want to create their own innovative understandings of the world around them. So therefore, buddhi is a quality that can be like a double-edged sword. If that buddhi is purified intelligence, purified by touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or at the very least, if it is purified by touch with Sattva Guna, that buddhi will be highly destructive, because then Rajaguna and Tamaguna will take over that intelligence. So that intelligence will become Rajasic and Tamasic. So even a person in Rajaguna, let's say a Kshatriya who is supposed to be in Rajaguna, if that Kshatriya doesn't have a touch of Sattva in his personality, he will create havoc in the society. So even if that Kshatriya doesn't have a lot of Sattva, he should have something, enough Sattva to at least listen to the guidance of those who are in Sattva. That is why the kings in the old days had these Brahmanas, the ministers who guided them. So that when the Kshatriya acts in a mode of passion, the Brahmanas can say, look, slow down, my dear king. This is not the right thing to do. You should do this, or you should not do that. Then the king, if he was submissive, if he had even that little bit of sattva to listen to the kings, then it would be for his welfare. And if the king happened to be a Raja Rishi, a great devotee of the Lord, then that was wonderful. So in any case, the point is that intelligence can be a cause of enormous benefit. It can also be a cause of enormous harm. Most of the damage done in the human society is not by the ordinary unintelligent people. Most of the damage is caused by the most intelligent people, because they can create more and more devices and means for creating havoc in the world. The atom bombs and so many other things that wreak havoc in the society are not created by unintelligent people. They have very sharp intelligence, very, very intelligent. They can grasp things very quickly. But because they are not in touch with the spiritual substance, so that intelligence is misdirected, and it leads to causing great harm to the world. So, Medhavi, so Buddhiman, so memory is one aspect of that. So you'll notice that those who are very intelligent also have a good memory. Although it's not necessary that everybody who has a good memory is a very intelligent person, because there are some people who have a photographic memory, but they may not be intelligent otherwise. But generally, you will find that people who are very intelligent will have a decent memory. Of course, intelligence is also of different kinds. It's not only for, let's say, studying mathematics. Somebody may be good, very intelligent in learning mathematics, and somebody may be totally incapable of learning that subject, but may be very good in painting, let's say, or in music, and can think of all these different melodies and whole compositions in his or her mind. That requires a certain intelligence also. Sometimes when I look at some of our devotees who are very good in singing and kirtans, and they can hold, and how I wonder, how do they remember these melodies and the subtle ups and downs? I figure out I just don't have that intelligence. So there is also kind of intelligence there. I saw one video some years ago about some exhibition by one painter. And this painter was making a demonstration in an audience, in an auditorium, and he had a big chart in front of him. And he had some buckets of paint. And he started splashing everything here, there. It didn't make any sense. He just black paint, white paint, this paint, that paint. He was just going all over the chart. And everybody in the audience was wondering, what on earth is he doing? And then he just did something, We didn't realize, even as I was watching that video, I didn't realize. Then what he did is, when he finished it, he turned it upside down And it was a face of a human being, a perfect face with proper nose, ears, very artistically done face, but he was painting it upside down. And we couldn't figure out what it was, and he just put it. So what kind of intelligence is required to visualize that? We can't visualize, even after he was painting it, we couldn't visualize. So that's also a kind of intelligence. So there is musical intelligence, there is artistic intelligence. The other day I went to one devotee's home who runs this looms, for making cloth, weaving. And they explained to me, this is how it happens, the thread goes this way and that way, and I couldn't understand it. And these people are not very highly educated from an academic point of view. I said, these people are really intelligent. They can figure out how the thread goes and how it comes and how it's a little complicated. So intelligence is not just in one strand. There are various types of intelligence. But you will find these two common qualities in various types of intelligence. Good memory for that particular thing, and an ability to discriminate or discern. So let's see how Krishna has these two qualities. So, so the first sentence is just the definition. Can you just read that? The definition?
A man is called intelligent if he has a sharp memory and fine discretion.
Okay, so two things here. Sharp memory and fine discretion. So now Srila Prabhupada will speak about Medhavi, sharp memory. Okay? Now please read.
As far as Krishna's memory is concerned, it is said that when he was studying in the school of Sandipani Muni in Avantipura, he showed such a sharp memory that by once taking instructions from the teacher, he immediately became perfect in any subject. Actually, his going to the school of Sandipani Muni was to show the people of the world that however great or ingenious one may be, he must go to higher authorities for general education. However great one may be, he must accept a teacher or spiritual master.
Okay. So when it means sharp memory, it also indicates that there is a very sharp ability to absorb or grasp knowledge. And you can see that in children also. You can understand that this child is able to grasp things very quickly. Another child may not be able to grasp things that easily. So you can easily understand who is more intelligent, who is not intelligent, at least in that type of activity. Maybe this one child who is a little slow in grasping one type of thing would be good in grasping some other type of knowledge or activity. So this is where the different varnas come in. So we should not just say, oh, this person is not intelligent. Intelligent for what? Intelligent in doing one kind of thing. There are some people who are so sharp in business and money, and we wonder, that's a kind of intelligence that is really, that strikes awe in me sometimes when I see them and how they have this grasping power. They understand where the money is to be made and what deals to strike and what to say to strike a deal and so on. So we shouldn't strike off people as being, oh, he's intelligent, he's not intelligent. So they have a capacity to grasp things in certain areas. Everybody has some strengths. And that really, in very simple language, is what Varnashram is about. Varna, engaging people according to their nature, according to their propensity. If people are just simply engaged in a way that they are comfortable with, the natural propensity, then that's what we have. That's how society has been organized by Krishna. So Krishna in Sandipani Muni's ashram could understand everything. How many days did he stay? 64 days. And every day he learned one art. And in 64 days he learned 64 arts. He became expert in that. So Srila Prabhupada mentions here that Krishna didn't need to go to Sandipani Muni's ashram or anybody else's ashram to learn. But he did so to set the example that however great or intelligent one may be, one should still go to a teacher and learn. And we also saw in Vidwan the analogy or the metaphor of the ocean, the water going up in the clouds and coming down, and Sandipani Muni is like the mountain that receives the water from Brahma, who is the cloud, and the whole cycle goes on. The river comes into the ocean. I think you will remember that metaphor from yesterday. So the second paragraph deals with Krishna's fine discretion, sukshma dhehi. It is the situation where he caused Kala Yavana to be killed. Yes.
Krishna's fine discretion was exhibited when he was fighting with the untouchable king who attacked the city of Mathura. According to Vedic rites, those who are untouchable are not to be touched by the Kshatriya kings, not even for killing. Therefore, when the untouchable king seized the city of Mathura, Krishna did not think it wise to kill him directly with his own hand. Still, the king had to be killed, and therefore Krishna decided with fine discretion that he should flee from the battlefield so that the untouchable king would chase him. He could then lead the king to the mountain where Muchukunda was lying asleep. Muchukunda had received a benediction from Kartikeya to the effect that when he awoke from his sleep, whomever he might see would at once be burned to ashes. Therefore, Krishna thought it wise to lead the untouchable king to that cave so that the king's presence would awaken Muchukunda and he would at once be burned to ashes.
So we are all familiar with the pastime of Krishna arranging for the killing of Kala Yavana through the instrument of the great devotee king Muchukunda. How many of you have not heard this pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam? Everyone has heard, so that's nice. So of course Muchukunda's benediction that he asked from Kartikeya was rather unusual, and sometimes many people probably wish they had that kind of benediction when they're woken up in the morning and they look at you like they're Muchukunda, but unfortunately they don't have the power to burn you to ashes, because nobody likes to be woken up early in the morning. So this is Buddhiman. So Krishna is the most intelligent of all. And next we have the 13th quality, which is that Krishna is a genius. These may all seem to be very similar, like the earlier qualities about Suramyangaha, Ruchiraha seem to be similar in a group. And these qualities, that he is Vidwan, he is a genius, he is intelligent, may seem to be similar, but there are some subtle distinctions between each of these. And that is why the definition of these terms is so important. Rupa Goswami is expert in clearly delineating the definition of different terms. You see, in any subject, whether it is law or physics or accounting or anything, the first thing you will see is a clear definition of the terms. If you study science, what is an atom, what is a molecule, has to be told, first thing. If you study law, what do we mean by this word, by that word, everything will be explained. So basic definition of terms is very important so that we know what we are talking about. It shouldn't be vague. And we all know very well how wonderfully and with how much clarity Srila Rupa Goswami has defined Uttama Bhakti in the Anyabhilashita Shunyam verse. So this is one of the great qualities of acharyas like Srila Rupa Goswami, who bring so much clarity into the discussion of spiritual topics. So these terms are being defined very clearly and we can apply them to human society also. So what is the meaning of genius? Pratibhanvitaha. Anvitaha, this suffix of anvitaha, you remember we come across it twice. What is the meaning of this suffix anvitaha? It is something that is an essential quality of that. It's something that is a natural attribute of that. It is something that one identifies with automatically. So, pratibhanvitaha. So, pratibha indicates some kind of creativity, innovativeness. So, one for whom this kind of creativity or innovativeness is a natural endowment, a natural attribute, an essential quality of his personality. So Srila Rupa Goswami defines genius or pratibhanvitaha as follows: Sadhyo navanamolekhi jnanam syat pratibhanvitaha. So pratibhanvita means possessed with creativity. Pratibha refers to creativity. Means image. Sadhya means immediate. Nava ullekha, novel manifestation of ideas. So exactly what this means, it'll be more clear when we read Srila Prabhupada's explanation. So can you read?
A person is called a genius when he can refute any kind of opposing element with newer and newer arguments.
Okay, see what a beautiful expression by Srila Prabhupada also. A person is called a genius when he can refute any kind of opposing element with newer and newer arguments. Of course, arguments is not the only criteria of genius, but this is an essential quality. And immediately what comes to mind, of course, we will see examples of Krishna being a genius, but what comes to mind is also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimai Pandit's pastimes, as a scholar of logic and grammar and alankar. Nimai Pandit, when he had not yet manifested or displayed his devotional quality, was renowned as a very great scholar of Sanskrit grammar and metaphors and so on, although he was very young. And he was expert in arguments. So he would confront students who were much older than him, who were in a higher class than him, so to speak, in terms of age. And he would make a statement and he would say, okay, refute it. And that person would refute it with something. Then Mahaprabhu or Nimai Pandit would refute that refutation. And he would leave that person stunned without a reply. And then he would refute his own refutation of that earlier refutation. And he would establish the original proposition that he made. And in this way, he was an intellectual gymnast. You know what is a gymnast? Who can contort his body in so many ways, or even some big yogis can do that. They can twist and turn their bodies in a certain way that will seem miraculous to us. So intellectually, he was such a genius, he could just take arguments and on the spur of the moment just give some opposing arguments that would make the other person speechless. Also, another example of Nimai Pandit being a genius was when he found faults in Keshav Kashmiri's poetry in glorification of Mother Ganga. Keshav Kashmiri was a Digvijayi Pandit, a scholar who had conquered all directions. And when he came to Navadvip, all the Bhattacharyas and the Upadhyayas and the Mishras and all the Brahmana scholars they fled on some pretext or the other because they were afraid to face Keshav Kashmiri. Somebody said, my relative's wedding somewhere, I have to go. Somebody said something else, and they all left from there because they did not want to face Keshav Kashmiri. And Nimai Pandit was sitting with his students on the bank of the Ganga. He was sitting in the Virasana. And Keshav Kashmiri came there, and immediately Nimai Pandit, in a very humble way, offered his respects to Keshav Kashmiri, and he glorified him. It is our great honor to have darshan of you. We have heard your glories from such a long time. So could you please glorify Mother Ganga? And even Keshav Kashmiri was a genius. Not like Nimai Pandit, but he was nevertheless a genius. And on the spur of the moment, impromptu, spontaneously, he composed beautiful verses in glorification of Mother Ganga. New verses, new poetry, just like that. 100 verses, like the raging wind, he was just reciting these verses. And all the students of Nimai Pandit were struck with wonder. And who would not be struck with wonder? Except Nimai Pandit. And so Nimai Pandit says, truly there is no scholar like you on this planet. On the spur of the moment you can create 100 shlokas like this. And he said, but however, can you point out the good points and the faults in your composition? So he was astonished. He said, good points, I can see many in my composition. But what to speak of faults? There are no faults in my composition. And then Nimai Pandit mentioned some faults. He said, there are 5 categories of faults in your composition. And he says, how can you say? Then he picked up one particular verse. And then he analyzed that verse. And he pointed out 5 mistakes in that one verse, which was one of the many that he spoke. And Keshav Kashmiri was first of all stunned that he could even remember the verse that he recited at such a speed. And then having remembered that verse, he could so quickly analyze it, critique it, and come up with the good points and the faults of that verse. So Nimai Pandit first told him the good points of that verse, and then he told him the mistakes in that verse. And Keshav Kashmiri was rendered completely speechless. And then Nimai Pandit, which is also another quality of the Lord, when he defeats somebody, he doesn't humiliate him. He also keeps their ego intact. So he also said, but my dear scholar, truly there is nobody like you. As far as faults in literary composition, even great poets like Kalidas and Bhavabhuti have some mistakes, grammatical mistakes in their works. So it's all right, but that doesn't take away from your enormous literary genius. So in that way, he defeated Keshav Kashmiri, but Keshav Kashmiri went away not humiliated. But when he went back, Keshav Kashmiri prayed to Mother Saraswati, what have I done to offend you? I was defeated by a 16-year-old boy or a 14-year-old boy. And then Mother Saraswati said, don't feel bad. He is my Lord also. I am telling you this confidentially. Don't disclose it. But you go and take shelter of him tomorrow. So anyway, Keshav Kashmiri did that. So this is a question of an example of genius. One you can on the spot just rapidly come up with newer and newer arguments. So let's see an example of Krishna's genius. Yes.
In this connection, there is a statement in Padyavali which contains the following conversation between Krishna and Radha. One morning, when Krishna came to Radha, Radha asked him, "My dear Keshava, where is your Vas at present?" The the Sanskrit word vasa has three meanings. One meaning is residence, one meaning is fragrance, and another meaning is dress. Actually, Radharani inquired from Krishna, "Where is your dress?" But Krishna took the meaning as residence, and he replied to Radharani, "My dear captivated one, at the present moment my residence is in your beautiful eyes." To this Radharani replied, "My dear cunning boy, I did not ask you about your residence, I inquired about your dress." Krishna then took the meaning of vasa as fragrance and said, "My dear fortunate one, I have just assumed this fragrance in order to be associated with your body." Srimati Radharani again inquired from Krishna, "Where did you pass your night?" The exact Sanskrit word used in this connection was yamin yamushitaha. Yamin yam means at night and ushitaha means pass. Krishna, however, divided the word yamin yamushitaha into two separate words, namely yaminya and mushitaha. By dividing this word into two, it came out to mean that he was kidnapped by Yamini or night. Krishna therefore replied to Radharani, "My dear Radharani, is it possible that night can kidnap me?" In this way, he was answering all of the questions of Radharani so cunningly that he gladdened this dearest of the gopis.
So these pastimes, this is also one of the reasons why the Nectar of Devotion is such a beautiful text. You will see all these different pastimes mentioned here and there. And even later on, you will see so many pastimes of Krishna with the gopis, with the cowherd boys, with Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, etc. That is why it is so important for us to read this book. And that is why we are going through every line of Srila Prabhupada's book here. So this is an example of how Krishna was so witty and humorous and at the same time very intelligent, very creative. Okay, so this is as far as the quality of genius, Pratibhanvitaha, is concerned. Now we come to the 14th quality, which is Vidagdhaha, which means artistic. Where have you heard the term Vidagdha? Vidagdha Madhava and Lalit Madhava. So one book, these are books by Rupa Goswami. They speak about Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, and the other speaks about pastimes starting in Vrindavan and then going on to Dwarka. So Rupa Goswami separated the two, pastimes in Vrindavan, pastimes in Dwarka. So that's the meaning of the word Vidagdha. And Lalit, what does it mean? Graceful. Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Shyamam Tribhanga Lalitam. So when Krishna is standing in the threefold bending form, playing the flute, at that time he looks very graceful. So that is Lalit. So he wrote Lalit Madhav and Vidagdha Madhav. Vidagdha means artistic. So Madhava, who is very artistic. So let's see how Rupa Goswami defines the term artistic. Kala Vilasa Digdhatma Vidagdha iti kirtyate. One whose mind is absorbed in the 64 arts such as dancing and singing and in various amusements is called Vidagdha. Aesthete, which means one who's into aesthetic, who's very aesthetically oriented. You understand aesthetic? Something that is very beautiful, very artistic, like that. Okay, so that's the definition. So yes, can you please read?
One who can talk and dress himself very artistically is called Vidagdha. This exemplary characteristic was visible in the personality of Sri Krishna. It is spoken of by Radharani as follows: My dear friend, just see how Krishna has nicely composed songs and how he dances and speaks funny words and plays on his flute, wearing such nice garlands. He has dressed himself in such an enchanting way as though he had defeated all kinds of players at the chessboard. He lives wonderfully at the topmost height of artistic craftsmanship.
Yes, these are some examples of what it means to be artistic and creative. So there are many devotees, actually, speaking of intelligence, there's also this kind of artistic intelligence. We have many of our devotees who are so good in making all these flower decorations on the altar and for Krishna and the temple hall. And we wonder how they had this kind of creativity. It just comes naturally. It's also a kind of intelligence. So Krishna has this artistic ability, and so Rupa Goswami has explained that it includes things like making riddles. You know what riddles are? Riddles and some magic tricks and making garlands, etc. Magic tricks, you do something, make something disappear. One time there was a magician, P.C. Sarkar, who came to New Vrindavan in the US when Srila Prabhupada was there with his disciples. And he did all sorts of magic tricks, and he made this thing disappear, he made that disappear. And all the devotees were kind of struck with wonder, how is he doing all this? And then so Prabhupada at the end said, very nice. So you can make this disappear, you can make that disappear. Can you make birth and death disappear? So then P.C. Sarkar said, Swamiji, that kind of magic only you can do. So Srila Prabhupada is a magician who can make birth and death disappear. So therefore Srila Prabhupada is the greatest artist. The next 15th quality is that Krishna is very clever. So you can notice how different terms seem to be very closely related, but they are precisely and separately defined by Rupa Goswami. Okay? It's called Chaturaha. Chatura sometimes is used in a negative connotation as meaning very cunning. But it can also be used in a positive context of being very clever. Okay? So how does Rupa Goswami define this? Chaturo yugapat bhuri samadhana krit uchyate. A clever person is one who brings about a solution to many problems simultaneously. Yugapat bhuri samadhana krit. We need such people, right? In the world who can solve problems. Because the material world means multiple problems, and Kali Yuga means multiple problems, multiplied manifold. So Yugapad Bhuri Samadhana Krit, one who can bring about solution to many problems simultaneously. In the English proverb it will be, he kills many birds with one stone, although we don't kill birds at all, but just the expression. So let's see how Srila Prabhupada explains this.
A person who can perform various types of work at once is called clever.
Okay, so today we call it multitasking in modern day language. Who can do many things. I remember there was one famous author, he was a scientist, and he was well known for writing 3 or 4 books at the same time, different books. He would work on this book and then he would shift for some time to the next book and then he would go to the next book, and on the same day he would do all this. Generally when somebody is writing an article or a book, You want to focus on that to develop your thoughts, and then it takes total concentration and focus. So generally you would just do that, finish that work, and then do something else. But this person was obviously very so intelligent that he was able to bring about his concentrated focus and develop these various books. So in material intelligence also, this capacity is there to do this kind of multitasking. But Krishna is the ultimate multitasker because he does everything simultaneously. Because he is all-knowing, Sarvagya, he is omnipresent, he is in everybody's heart. So he accomplishes all his tasks at the same time. So when Krishna descends into this material world also, he fulfills multiple purposes with one act. So with one activity, fulfilling many purposes is the sign of somebody who is very clever. Yes, please continue.
In this connection, one of the gopis said, "My dear friends, just see the clever activities of Sri Krishna. He has composed nice songs about the cowherd boys and is pleasing the cows. By the movement of his eyes, he is pleasing the gopis, and at the same time, he is fighting the demons like Arishtasura. In this way, he is sitting with different living entities in different ways, and he is thoroughly enjoying the situation."
Yes, it is only Krishna who can please everybody and respond to everybody at the same time, satisfactorily. We see that even in our ordinary dealings, we are not able to deal with everything simultaneously. If you're giving attention to one thing, you can't be giving attention to something else or to someone else. So someone else is not happy that you're not spending time with them and you're spending time for some other work. You spend time with that person, a third person is unhappy that you're not able to spend time with them. So in this way, for human beings, we are very limited in our capacity to do multitasking. You can't keep everybody happy and satisfied at the same time. But Krishna can do various types of work at the same time. He can respond to and deal with unlimited number of living entities at the same time. And some examples of this we can see also when Krishna used to sit in the picnic on the banks of the Yamuna when they would graze cows. He would sit for prasadam, for meals, with his friends, the cowherd boys. And Krishna would sit in the center and the cowherd boys would surround him in a circle like the whirl of a flower. And all the boys would be gazing at Krishna very lovingly. And every boy thought that Krishna was gazing at him alone. Whereas obviously some boys were sitting, Krishna had their back to them, but they felt Krishna was looking at them. Similarly in the Rasa Leela, every gopi felt that Krishna was dancing only with her. So he satisfied every single gopi. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in a Sankirtan at the time of the Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri, there were 7 Sankirtan parties. And each Sankirtan party felt that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing only with them. So this is how the Supreme Lord is perfect and complete and unlimited in his capacity to perform many types of work and be in many places and satisfy many people at the same time. And next is the quality number 16, which is called Daksha. Again, see how closely interrelated many of these terms are. To be expert. Here is Rupa Goswami's definition. Dushkare kshiprakari yastam daksham parichakshate. An expert is a person who does very quickly what is difficult to do. Dushkara means that which is difficult to do. Kara is to do. Dush means difficult. So an activity that is very difficult to accomplish is called dushkara. Kshipra means very quickly. Kshiprakari. So one who performs a task that is ordinarily very difficult to do very quickly, then that person is called daksha, is called expert. And he makes it appear so easy. Yes, so let's read what Srila Prabhupada says.
Any person who can quickly execute a very difficult task is called expert. About the expertise of Krishna, there is a statement in the 10th canto, 59th chapter, verse 17 of Srimad Bhagavatam, wherein Shukadev Goswami tells Maharaj Parikshit, O best of the Kurus, Shri Krishna cut to pieces all the different weapons used by different fighters. Formerly, fighting was done by releasing different kinds of arrows. One party would release a certain arrow and the other party had to defeat it by counteracting it with another arrow. For example, one party might release an arrow which would cause water to pour from the sky. And to counteract this, the opposing party would have to release an arrow which would immediately turn the water into clouds. So from this statement, it appears that Krishna was very expert in counteracting the enemy's arrows. Similarly, at the Rasa dance, each and every gopi requested that Krishna individually become her partner, and Krishna immediately expanded himself into so many Krishnas in order to be coupled with each and every gopi. The result was that each gopi found Krishna by her side.
So these two very nice examples from the Srimad Bhagavatam to illustrate that Krishna is Daksha. So Daksha means expert in doing things that are very difficult to do and doing it very quickly. And one last quality we'll discuss before we wind up. 7:30 to 9 o'clock, right? So that is quality number 17, which is grateful. Krishna is always grateful. Kritagyaha. So how does Srila Rupa Goswami define being grateful? Kritagyaha syad abhijño yaha krita sevadi karmanam. A grateful person is one who acknowledges others who have done service. Abhijña means to be aware of and or to acknowledge. Others who have done service, krita seva adi karmanam. If others have done some seva or some noteworthy activity, to acknowledge that, especially if they've done it for us, then we acknowledge that. That is being grateful. Okay, please read.
Any person who is conscious of his friend's beneficent activities and never forgets his service is called grateful.
Okay, let's read that again together. All of us, let's read together.
Any person who is conscious of his friend's beneficent activities and never forgets his service is called grateful.
That is Krishna's nature. Ishvara svabhav bhaktir na loy aparad alpa seva bahumani atma paryanta prasad. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami mentions the nature of the Supreme Lord. Ishvara svabhav, the nature of the Supreme Lord is bhaktir na loy aparad. He doesn't take offenses from his devotees. On the contrary, alpa seva, if that devotee has rendered even a little bit of seva, bahumani, he considers that very great, and he becomes so indebted out of gratitude to that devotee that he even submits himself and sells himself to him. Atma paryanta prasad. This is the nature of Krishna's quality of gratitude. So Krishna appreciates every little act, every small act of service rendered by anybody. And he never forgets it. So this is a very important quality for us also in our practical dealings in this world. We should never forget those who have helped us in any way possible. Even from a material point of view, if somebody has helped us, we should always be grateful. There was one saint, and I like repeating this many times, who in one lecture, he said something very, very instructive at a practical level for all of us. He said there are two things we should always remember and two things you should always forget. The two things you should always remember are the good things that others have done to us and the bad things that we have done to them. And the two things we should always forget are the good things that we have done for others and the bad things that others have done to us. Is it too confusing? Sorry? Once again? Okay. There are two things we should always remember and two things you should always forget. The two things that you should always remember are, number one, the good things that others have done to us and the bad things that we have done to others. We should always remember that. And the two things that we should always forget are the good things that we have done to others and the bad things that they have done to us. Makes sense? Okay, I would like on the mic at least 2-3 devotees to repeat this. Hare Krishna. You are saved. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
It's working. Okay.
Two things we should always remember. Good things that the others have done to us and the bad things we have done to others.
Very nice.
Two things we should always forget. Bad things others have done to us and good things we have done to others.
Excellent. Very nice. Okay, somebody else? Somebody else, quickly.
Two things we should always remember. Bad things we have done to others and good things that are done by others for us.
For us, yes.
And we should always forget good things which we have done to others and bad things which are done by
Others.
Sorry, we should always forget good things which we have done to others and the bad things
Done to
done to us.
us. Okay, one more devotee. And then one or two on the Mataji's side afterwards.
So
Yes, okay.
we should remember two things: what we have done bad to others and what others have done good to us. Two things we should always forget: what others have done bad to us and what we have done good to others.
Okay, good. Mataji's side, any one or two? Quickly. Is there anybody?
Two things to always remember.
No looking into the notes.
Two things to always remember. Good done by others to us and bad done by us to others.
Yes.
Two things to always forget. Good done by us to others and bad done by others to us.
Very nice, very nice. Anybody else? One last chance? The mic. हिंदी में बोलिए.
हरे कृष्णा. दोन हमेशा याद रखना चाहिए, दोन हमेशा भूल जाना चाहिए. मैं किसी को अच्छा करता है उसको भूल जाना चाहिए और किसी ने मेरे को बुरा बोला है वो भी भूल जाना चाहिए।
याद क्या रखना है?
हम दूसरों को अच्छा गिरा वो भूल जाना।
The good that others have done to us, we should always remember. And the bad that we have done to others also we should remember. Okay? Yes, so let us now read further. Kritagyaha. Srila Rupa Goswami has given 2 examples here. Okay? So please read.
In the Mahabharata, Krishna says, "When I was away from Draupadi, she cried with the words, 'Hey Govinda, this call for me has put me in her debt, and that indebtedness is gradually increasing in my heart.'" This statement by Krishna gives evidence of how one can please the Supreme Lord simply by addressing him, "Hey Krishna, Hey Govinda."
Yes, so just by Draupadi's chanting, "Hey Krishna, Hey Govinda," Krishna became indebted to her. Yad Govindeti Chukrosha Krishna Mam Duravasinam. Krishna, here with the long A, refers to Draupadi. And Krishna himself is saying, "Mam Durvasinam," because of me who was living far away in Dwarka when Draupadi was at a distant place. Yad Govinda iti Chukrosha. Chukrosha means cried out. So when Draupadi cried out, "Hey Govinda, Hiranam etat parvriddham me hridayan napasarpati." So that cry of "Hey Govinda, Hey Krishna" by Draupadi has made me eternally indebted to her, and that debt keeps growing in my heart. So that is the statement of Krishna, that is his mindset, that is Krishna's attitude. So we can imagine how we should also be. And Krishna and Srila Prabhupada explains that in connection with the Mahamantra also. Please read.
The Mahamantra, "Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare," is also simply an address to the Lord and His energy. So, to anyone who is constantly engaged in addressing the Lord and His energy, we can imagine how much the Supreme Lord is obliged. It is impossible for the Lord to ever forget such a devotee. It is clearly stated in this verse that anyone who addresses the Lord immediately attracts the attention of the Lord, who always remains obliged to Him.
Yes. So our way of chanting "Hey Krishna, Hey Govinda" is to chant the Mahamantra. So sometimes devotees ask, when we pray to Krishna, does Krishna listen? Yes, he listens. How much will he listen? It depends on how you call. If you call out like Draupadi, he will listen very eagerly and he will come very quickly. But if you call out lazily or negligently, then he will take his time to come. He will listen, but he will do other things before coming here. But if you call out like Draupadi, he'll drop everything else and come. So calling out for Krishna feelingly is what the chanting of the Mahamantra is all about. And because we are almost out of time, so just the last instance of Jambavan.
Yeah. Another instance of Krishna's feeling of obligation is stated in connection with his dealings with Jambavan. When the Lord was present as Lord Ramachandra, Jambavan, the great king of the monkeys, rendered very faithful service to him. When the Lord again appeared as Lord Krishna, he married Jambavan's daughter and paid him all the respect that is usually given to superiors. Any honest person is obliged to his friend if some service has been rendered unto him. Since Krishna is the supreme honest personality, how can he forget an obligation to his servitor?
Yes, because Jambavan had rendered service in Rama Leela. Krishna remembered that even in Dwapar Yuga. And therefore, he reciprocated with that service by marrying Jambavan's daughter, Jambavati. And that is in connection with the pastime of the Syamantak Mani. Okay, so this is as far as his 17th quality of being grateful, Kritagyaha, is concerned. There are 64 qualities and we have been able to cover only 17. But never mind, better than rushing through, at least we try to do some justice at least to these 17 qualities. So, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu ki Jaya, Srila Rupa Goswami ki Jaya, Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya, God Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Thank you.